Welcome, everyone. This is as Jim said, the All the Leads Mastermind. We do this every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you are listening after the fact, or maybe you're watching via live stream, we want to invite you guys to join us live. If maybe you're listening by podcast and you don't know how to do that, you should go to alltheleads.com/live and join in on our Zoom panel for the weekly mastermind. Here you get to ask any of your probate-related questions, deal structuring, building attorney relationships, negotiations, kind of your unique situations all around sort of the estate settlement, probate, inheritance type of process. So that's what we're here for. We encourage people to raise their hand to ask their questions. So if you are not watching live with us, make sure to join us on Thursdays at 1 o'clock. Many of you are going to choose to put it in your calendar. Hint, hint, reminder, because we like getting a lot of people here. Now, if you're watching via live stream on YouTube or Facebook, what we want you guys to do is go ahead and chat your questions in underneath of the live stream. We have moderators that are monitoring that, and we'll send it to us, panel of coaches, to be able to answer any questions for you. Not only questions, but we want to hear your success stories. So if you are new, experienced, if you procrastinated for a little while and just started making your first calls or sending your first letters in the last week or two and are getting some success, we want to hear from you guys. As a matter of fact, as long as there's a good win for the win each week, we pick a winner of the week to be able to come in and that's shared what they've done, what success they've had. And if you're the winner of the week, you get a discount on your leads for the next month. Speaking of which, if you're looking for a place to get your probate lead systems and your leads, your mail, your websites, your system for marketing to this type of audience, All the Leads can do it for you. And you just would go to alltheleads.com if you want to find out more, check your county, chat with our support and sales team from that website. We're happy to have you guys here. I already have a hand up. So by the way, if you do want to ask a question, chat it in underneath of the live stream, or preferably if you're here on Zoom, raise your hand. So go down to the reactions button and click the raise your hand icon, and we will call on you. I've got Douglas first up in the queue. Douglas, thanks for not making me wait for 30 minutes to get any hands up. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself.
Okay, I'm unmuted. You guys, I just want to bless you for what you've done for me, because I followed your system verbatim. And remember, I told you of those 2 different portfolios that I'm working with? Yesterday, the woman who's involved with, her being the PR of 4 different properties, an apartment building, 2 of the most gorgeous 5-acre pieces of property, and the best flip I've ever seen in my life. Did everything verbatim. It sounds like you're not ready right now, but I'm here if you are. Is there anything I can do to help you? I did this for 6 months. She called me yesterday. She said, Douglas, I don't want to do this alone.
Yeah. I need help.
But I didn't have to close her. She closed me. So thank you so much for everything.
And it's all because you built rapport. And by the way, Douglas has some of the best copy that I've ever heard. The adjectives that he puts into testimonials and talking about the estates and the properties that you're working on. Amazing. You'd be a great copywriter to write some compelling advertisement.
You guys, you shifted me away from thinking about what's in it for me to thinking about what's in it for them. And it changes everything. They know it. They know when you're sincere. They know when you're honest. They know when you're looking after them. And now they're closing me.
Love it.
That's great, man. That is just awesome.
Thank
Do
you.
you give them objections, Douglas, when they try to close you? Do you object, or do you just...
No, I don't want that listing.
I'm a little busy right now. I don't know if I can help.
No, I don't want $5 million worth of listings. No.
you graciously accept their offer, right?
Yeah, well, I make an appointment to get together with them and help them. I mean, she has to meet with, I mean, this is the most beautiful flip I've ever seen. It's in Bellevue, and it's just the most incredible piece of property. It's just full of junk and needs updates.
Mhm.
It's a slam dunk, you know?
Awesome.
She's got a buyer in mind who she's committed to, but she says, I just don't know what to do with her. And I said, let me come by, let me assess the property. We'll sit down together and come up with the best plan for you. And then let me sit at the table and negotiate on your behalf. No,
I love it. I love it.
I love it too.
And those of you that are listening and wondering where the success is coming from, it's all because you're taking a very rapport-focused approach. It's not the, hey, we have everything handled, I don't need you right now. You're not going, hey, let me convince you that you do have to use me right now and you need me right now, and therefore I'm taking an opposing position to you, which ruins rapport and causes them to resist even more. You're taking a value-first approach, agreeing with their statements, whether their statements are right or wrong, agreeing with those to build rapport, which always leads to better relationships in the future. You can close them later on the call. You can close them on future calls. They can close you, like Douglas's case. Rapport first. That's what you're here for.
Yes, and Bruce, I've got two other properties, both around the $2 million price point, and they're going to go with me. And there's this other person I called yesterday, and he just said, I'm not ready to decide right now. I said, it doesn't sound like you're ready to decide right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, yeah, but I will be soon. I go, great. Do you mind if I call you back in a couple of weeks? And he said, you're the nicest person that's called me.
Wow.
So,
Yep.
Yeah.
He's probably right. You know that? He's probably right. Your kindness and your empathy is so contagious. It's great to hear it.
Well, you guys, thank you. I started with you about 6 months ago, and I'm just on fire. I just, thank you.
And before
Thank you, Douglas.
you came to us, you were just an evil man, right? We appreciate you, buddy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What a great story.
All right. Thank you for listening.
Thanks so much. All right. Let's go to Rhonda. Rhonda, you are up. I just asked you to unmute yourself. How can we help you today?
Yes,
Where'd Rhonda go? There. There you go. You disappeared on my screen. I got you.
Hi. I am a brand new real estate agent, and
Congratulations.
thank you. I'm about 6 to 7 weeks in, but I've been in the mortgage business for over 30 years. And I decided to go into probate. And don't ask me why. I think because I have a heart for people who go through different situations. So I love the rapport part because I like that. And if I can use my skills to help them. Anyway, being new in the real estate business, I decided I was going to start with lawyers. So I filled up my contacts with all these probate lawyers, and then I called them to try to set appointments. I have 3 appointments, 1 tomorrow and 2 next week. And I haven't even done a probate deal yet. So I've read a lot about it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is an area that I'd like to learn something new and do this, but I need advice. When I meet with these attorneys, what can I do that'll make me stand out from the millions they probably already work with? And being new, they're going to see that. So I want to be genuine with them, but I think I have enough experience under my belt to guide the process and help in this area. How should I handle this appointment? These 3.
Yeah. So first, let's talk about mindset for a second. Your mindset is quite similar to the mindset of everyone else that's on this call. Is you're going in, how do I separate myself from the millions of other agents and investors they're already working with? They're not. Okay. If you're new in probate, and I'm not talking to, well, Rhonda, I know you're a little bit new in probate, but this goes to everyone. Also, if you're new in probate, everyone always says, hey, how many other people are prospecting probate leads? And the answer is, at any given time, depending on the market, there could be anyone from 0 people in your market, maybe 1 to 15 or 20 in some markets. And I don't want anyone to be worried about that, because just because someone has a list, or just because there's an attorney that does probate, doesn't mean that the agents, the investors that could be working with them and working on a relationship with them are. I've found that most of anyone that you're competing with will not do the work. And we see it. We see people quit pretty frequently, and it's almost always, 99% of the time, it's because you gave me a system, I didn't follow the system. It's practically never, you gave me a system, I tried the system, it didn't work. It's, you gave me a system, I didn't use it. I didn't call, I didn't mail, I didn't meet attorneys, I didn't do these things. So just recognize that you're going into some attorney meetings with attorneys that probably don't have a go-to relationship. You also need to recognize that in some of these cases, it's going to take some time. It's going to take a couple of different meetings that you're going to have with these attorneys before the floodgates open and they just start sending you business. So go in there, and what you're going to say to them is you're going to be very transparent. Look, I've been in the mortgage business for, I think you said 30 years, 20 years maybe. I've been in the mortgage business for this amount of time. I've recently transitioned over into real estate, and I wanted to focus my efforts on the probate, the estate settlement, and the inheritance world because of X, Y, and Z. So maybe it's because I have a heart for them. Maybe it's because I've gone through the process myself. Maybe it's because I want to provide value first. This is why I'm doing it. Now, in doing that, I'd like to build a team of people that I can go to. I'd love some support, and that's what I'm here to ask from you. If that turns into referrals that I send you, I'm going to be really happy. If that turns into some business that real estate business that I can help you with, or other things, that makes me happy. But I need people on my team that I can refer to. I can bring people that have legal questions. I can bring those that are unrepresented. Would you be open to getting those referrals? Yes. Okay. I want this to be a two-way street, not just a one-way street where I'm begging you for business.
Right.
Now, subliminally, we are asking for business there, but we're not saying, but don't forget, you have to refer me. We're saying a two-way street. Okay.
Right.
And that should really, really, really help. And I know Tim popped his hand up, has something to chime in.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, you're approaching it the right way. You said you want to be honest with them and all of that. You're not going in and saying, I'm heaven's gift to probate. It's I've got a good background. I've coming into this with my eyes wide open. And I think another thing that always helps when you're doing that is, have a purpose in mind that you kind of state to start with. And a big part of it is I want to learn as much as I can about what's going on. If there are any nuances locally that I need to be aware of that are involved in probate that I might not be, I'd like to learn a little about that. But more importantly, I want to know what I can do, what you would like, what would be the most beneficial thing I could do for you to earn your trust. And, how can I make that happen? Because that way they'll probably say, well, what's most important to me is my time. I think you need to kind of lead with that. I realize, Ms. or Mr. Attorney, that, time is your most valuable commodity, and any of it that you save, you can use for other things. And so if there's things I can help you with, I'd like to know what those things are, and, let them tell you, let them sell you. If they're the right kind of person to work with, they'll tell you what they want.
Right.
That could be really helpful. And you're approaching it the right way. You're kind of just laying yourself open and saying, here I am. I think it's great you got the appointments. A lot of times people have problems getting those appointments. So you've done real well doing that. That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, they just happened to be at a orientation at the board, and 2 attorneys were there, and I just asked them if they knew anybody. So the first gal I'm meeting with tomorrow, she's a new agent doing probate for them. So I thought, well, we could grow together.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's perfect.
Yep. Another thing is you could ask for guidance. So you could offer if you're okay sitting on camera. You're here on Zoom on camera, by the way. So I assume you're okay being on camera. You could always do a Zoom interview with the attorneys and come with a handful of maybe 5 or 10 questions that you ask about the probate process. You could break those out into videos for a YouTube channel and promote to an audience. You're promoting their business. Every attorney I've ever asked has been all about that. You could take a probate checklist and say, you know, this is kind of what I understand about the process. I want to make sure I'm not improperly advising people on how to go through it. How's this look? Is there anything that's wrong or maybe I should add or take out? So you could go there. They could be your advisor. They like demonstrating their knowledge. When I meet with attorneys, I'll take a checklist, basically just a basic one. It doesn't need to be complicated or advanced. I have a complicated one for leads, but I have like maybe just 10 things on a list. This is my understanding of the probate process. And I'll say, is there anything wrong here? And I'll intentionally leave a mistake or two, intentionally, because I want them feeling the need to help. And they know that you're not an expert. If you walk in there and go, hey, I know all about this stuff, and here's my checklist, and I'm going to do amazing things for your business, and it just kind of blows them out of the water. They're the educated one here. So let them demonstrate it.
Thank you. And that is kind of, I have this list of the process from all my readings and studying that I've been doing on it, and I can show that to them. I kind of put together a quick presentation of Keller Williams, who I work for, and what we can do as a whole. I think they would pretty much pitch that in the trash can. I don't know why I think that. I guess because I'm a more hands-on, face-to-face type person. Mm-hmm. So that'll be great because I know my checklist probably needs a lot of work. So
yep. Yeah, let them help. Let them help. I love it. Good. Well, great job. Great job. Don't ignore those leads. Good job on going after attorneys. There's a lot of gold in the leads themselves too, but you are absolutely going after after some great relationships as well.
Is there anything else I should take, or no? You think?
I don't.
Other than business cards, but
all right. Once I have that relationship, I'm gonna put them on my monthly milk route, and I'm gonna stop by the office every month. Leave some brochures, different things like that. So the relationship isn't about loading them up with stuff. I would tend to agree that anything that you load them up with might never make it past the next trash can that they see. Maybe I don't know. That's just so I would let it be a face-to-face, really establishing that face-to-face rapport, and you can take them stuff later.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Definitely. Thanks, Rhonda. And let's go to, I've got some chatted in questions, but Roger's had his hand up for a while. So let me go to Roger, our good friend, longtime subscriber, coach, agent extraordinaire, Roger Lacey.
I don't know about all that, but
I didn't know you were all that important, buddy.
I'm not really. I'm just basically a survivor, walking above the grass, and I'm good to go. That's all I can say about that. I did finish a couple of 5Ks after getting through chemotherapy, and I'm just I'm doing well with health wise and alike. I wanted to throw in for all the new agents that are on board to. I think I've been doing it. Jim, how long have I been doing this? 7 years, 8 years?
At least. I think we've been around for about 11 or 12, and you were towards the beginning there. I would say at least 7 or 8 years, Roger. Yeah, you are a survivor with our company as well as in life.
I'll tell you right now, this and everything attended to that, and that has cropped out of my business. I only deal with folks that are in this kind of a problem after 7 years in this market. I've already had three attorneys that are constantly sending me stuff. I'm going by. In fact, I'm dropping off American flags at their office for the 4th of July celebration, just to keep in touch with them. And I had one call me the other week, last week, and said, Roger, this guy's dad died. He's renting an apartment. There's no money in this for you, but we need to have all the contents taken care of and taken out of. Can you handle that for us?" And I said, "Sure." And he was the lead attorney in the law firm. And so I rounded up my folks and got them over there. And today they're emptying that out, on time, so that the family doesn't have to pay another month's rent for Dad's rental in there. And he asked me, he says, "Roger, I know you're not making any money off of this one, but we'll make it up to you." And I reminded him that he's already sent me a divorce and two probate cases, and this is my way of returning it back, as well as I've got somebody else I'm sending to your office on a trust candidate for you to talk to. And he said, "Well, who are you talking to?" I said, "I'm talking to Tim over here, and you're one of your associates over there." And he said, "I didn't realize that." And I said, "Well, I'll be by with an American flag later on. We'll after we get this apartment emptied, we'll talk about that." It also, it just basically one thing leads to another. As you get into this business, you build a downline network of referrals. I had a referral from a friend of mine who knew that I was in probate. Another good friend of his mom died, and he reminded him that I had sold his mother's house 5 years ago. And she was moving into an assisted living arena. And he said, "Well, I'd never thought of Roger doing something like that." It was 20 acres just outside the city limits of Fayetteville, and it was $1 million listing, closed last week for $900,000. And so I've got another one that I'm working on. His spouse died several years ago. He's aware of me, and I had a relationship with them. And he said, "I'm ready to sell this 5 acres in the middle of Springdale," and so I've got that listed for about $700,000. So this whole message that I hope to bring to the newcomers into this business is stay with it. Listen to what these guys are saying. The system does work. I'm just blessed with the referrals that I'm getting as a result of that. And the attorneys are beginning to take notice after 7 years of doing that. I've also broken into one of the major banks in the area and their trust department and handled an affair with them, with someone who had to go into a full-time nursing home in his illness. And so the trust officer said, "You need to get in touch with our real estate company that handles all the REOs and stuff like that, because if we get a property in a trust that we're the executor for, we just turn it over to them, and we'll recommend you to do that." So trust departments, attorneys, it just starts coming in, the referrals from other people. It's a good business. And you get enough time off. Sometimes, but be sure to follow what these guys are training. And there's a lot of pretenders out there that sound like they know what they're doing. These guys have the ATL's got the history involved with it, and I strongly recommend that you do that. So there you go. I just wanted to give you guys you guys are the heroes in this thing, because you're helping so many people across the country. I thank you very much for allowing me to be a part of your network.
Thank you, Roger. And I want to say that you're one of the heroes because you actually take the actions. You are a doer and not a watcher, not a learner that comes to Mastermind and doesn't implement. You implement. So good job, and we appreciate you. So I've got a couple of other hands and chatted questions. Jim, we'll come to you in a second. I saw your chats and your hands, so I'm going to call on you in a second. I do want to kick it over to Tim real quick for an announcement that I can honestly say I have no idea what you're going to say.
I was hoping you knew. I have no idea. actually, it's the end of our month, and you hang out for a little bit. We've got a special offer we're going to make in a few minutes to kind of sweeten up the end of your month for you and get you into July doing something exciting. So just wanted to let you know that we're actually working on a graphic now, so you can take a look at it, and we'll get that off to you in just a second. So don't jump off the call too quick. We'll be back in probably 15 minutes or so with that before the end of the call. And I think my buddy there who shops at the same hat store that I shop at needs to talk next.
Yeah, let's go to Jim, and then I'm going to answer Karen, Chris, and Jim. We've got several questions for you, so go ahead and unmute yourself.
All right.
And then after I answer Karen, Chris, I'll come back to you, Douglas. But go ahead, Jim. Good to see you, man.
Hey, good to be here. This is my first opportunity to dial into the Mastermind, so good to be here. So I've been a client of All the Leads for a few months now, and I've gotten my first couple batches of leads and started out with direct mail campaign, and I'm ready to make some calls. So I was wondering if you had a recommended or sample script available in any of the resources that I should refer to.
Sure. So Tim, please remind me, I need to get the team my openings, my conversation openings, to put on the website somewhere. So Jim, these conversations can be relatively complex, and I say relatively complex. I don't mean incredibly complex. There is a class that I know that Douglas had plugged it, and you're ready to hit the phones before the next class is coming up. But Prospecting Mastery is like 2 days long. It goes really deep into the psychology of kind of how to navigate that call and guide people. You don't need all that, though. That's if you want to go really advanced. If you want to just start, number one, if you're sending mail, you might call and say something like, "Hey, this is Jim Stewart. I was looking for a Douglas Converse, but I'm not really sure I have the right number. Is this Douglas?" Okay, yes, Douglas. This is regarding the estate of Jane Doe. I'm thinking I have the right Douglas. Are you the personal representative for that estate?
Okay.
Yes. Could I take a quick second and kind of tell you what I was calling about? Yes. Now you want to be able to, in a couple of sentences, unpack what you do. Not a couple of minutes,
Right.
a couple of sentences, unpack what you do, and prepare for them to reject whatever your first offer is.
Sure.
So if your first offer is, I buy houses, they're going to reject it even if they need to sell a house, because they don't know you. Okay. So that's why I don't normally make that first offer to buy their house. I make it about some kind of a turnkey. I help people navigate through the probate process.
Right.
Even if they need help, they're still going to turn it down. Okay. Embrace it. Douglas was on here right off the bat saying, and we were talking about rapport first. So if they say, no, I don't need anything, you're not going to go, well, let me tell you why you do need my help. Even though they do, that's just not the way to win them over. So embrace whatever they've said. I get it. Maybe I can shoot you some information, and then last thing you're gonna do is pivot over to the real estate question. So, hey, listen, Jim, it's been a really good talk. I appreciate you. Don't forget, reach out to me if you need anything. And before I let you go, can I ask what your thoughts are with any real estate that's involved? Is that going to stay in the family, or are you thinking about selling? Once you get an answer, now the real work starts. And you ought to be pretty decent at doing the real work. If you want to know a little bit more about it, look for the next class that we'll do where we're kind of talking about some of that. But
Yeah, I'm definitely planning on plugging into that in July. But, I got these fresh leads, and I wanted to get a head start on that. So,
by the way, and I gave you an opening. If your letters are going out, you should probably reference your letter that they got. Hey, just in case you don't know who I am, I was the guy that shot you the letter last week. It came in that baby blue envelope with a little brochure. Just so you know who you're talking to.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
Tim, is that what you were going to say?
Absolutely. He'd already in his chat, one of the things he said was he's already put a piece of mail and postcard out, and you need to refer back. And one of the things you can also ask is that I put those out and I hadn't heard anything back from you, and oftentimes you're getting, you're up to your armpits and trying to figure all this out. So I figured that out to you. I mean, there are lots of ways, like Bruce said, lots of ways to start that conversation, but you never want to lead with, "Hey, you want to sell that house?"
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, sorry, mom died. Let's get that house sold. Let me make some money. Yeah.
Don't. Where we started in all of this is we really began with this of trying to say, look, we're not. I personally, when we started this, was very adamant that we don't want to be in a situation where we're going to cross predators, and chasing widows and orphans, trying to catch them at their worst and steal their house. That's that. Say goodbye and get off the call. It's not. I don't want to help you. And the reality is, we're really trying to offer a better way and a lot of service. That's why we encourage you to build a team of people and have services to offer, and the real estate will just come. And you heard from, both Roger and Douglas that, it's that servant's mentality. That's where Roger always says started is, he has a service mentality, wants to offer help. And if you get that done, you can say just about anything you want as long as you get that message across.
Yeah. Yep.
That's great. Appreciate that.
Good. Any other questions, Jim?
So as far as this is probably good for everyone, because I used to work in financial services, and prospecting is what it's all about. And what I learned early on was that real prospecting is anything where you're attempting to have a conversation with someone. Everything else is not prospecting. It's avoiding real prospecting.
Yeah.
So phone calls, knocking on their door, and doing drop pop buys or whatever you want to call them. That's where the rubber meets the road. So as far as time blocking and scheduling that, what's a good pace? I've got like 300 to 500 leads at this point. And so, what would be a good pace in terms of time blocking on a daily, weekly basis?
So I'm going to say out of 500 leads in a perfect world, and I know that not everyone's going to be able to follow this to a T. So this isn't a perfect world. I want to hit those 500 leads enough times, probably 3 to 4 times per relevant contact. And you're going to call people and it's going to be a bad number, wrong number. They might tell you never call again. They might say, hey, I'm ready to meet you. You don't have to call them again. So let's just assume that out of those 500 leads, you're going to make about 2,500 phone calls.
Okay.
I usually assume about 30 calls an hour unless you're using a power dialer. So, I mean, that's a pretty good, you're not going to want to do that. If you do maybe 40 hours a month of prospecting, you'll hit them enough times. 40 hours a month.
Okay.
You'll hit them enough times. Now, you could go as high as 80 hours a month. That gets to be a little oppressive. You're working a quarter-time job at that point, a half-time job at that point, prospecting. So let's go to a quarter-time job. If you use a power dialer, you will cut that 40 hours in half. You're looking at 20 hours a month, which is an hour a day. So if you're not using a power dialer, and honestly, when I'm prospecting probate, I like to not use my power dialer. I prefer to call inside of the All the Leads management system. So power dialer's going to cut it to an hour a day. If you're willing to put 2 hours in a day, you'll get to everyone a couple of times a month.
You got to be real strategic in your market. You're in a heavy commuter market where people are spending a lot of time in their car.
Yeah.
I know the market that you're in, and so you're going to have to do it in a bit more compressed time frame than others, because they're not going to be home at 5:15. They're going to be on the road until 6 maybe to get home even.
Maybe they talk while they're on the road, though.
They might well do that. They might well do that. I'm just saying you got to be aware of kind of your market. So every market has its own nuances, and that's one that you need to be aware of. Is that you're in a heavy commuter market, that's oftentimes something you got to be aware of.
So this is something that becomes a little bit more difficult for those of you that are really busy running businesses and you're spending time with clients and things like that. But if you have the ability to maybe give yourself one time a week where you're doing calls from let's say 5 till 7, and then the ability to one or two times a week call from 8 till 10 or 9 till 11, and maybe once a week. And this is not an ideal time, but once a week you might call from 1 till 3. And again, that's not the most ideal time, but the people that can't, that don't have normal schedules, that aren't going to answer at the bookends, they might answer in the middle of the day. So once every week or two, you want something in the middle of the day, and the rest of the time you're going to try to go for those bookends.
Okay. And yeah, the evening call window, in the past, I've had good success with that, even up to 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
I was gonna add to that also. When I was back in many years ago when I was prospecting, I would bump the ones. I'd give them 3 or 4, 5 tries during the regular calling hours. Then I'd bump them like to a Wednesday night. I'd give them a few chances on Wednesday night, and the final slot was like Saturday morning, like 11 to 1. If you're willing to work weekends, I used to get a tremendous number of people to answer on Saturday morning. That you don't want to call them at 8 a.m. Let them sleep in a little bit, but you'll in between those 3 time slots, eventually anybody who's going to answer the phone, you should be able to get them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Interesting.
Anything else?
So based on that, you could take a call list and start on it Monday, and have like Monday, Tuesday morning slots, Wednesday, Thursday afternoon. And if you don't catch them, on those days, go for Saturday morning.
Sure.
Something like that, to mix it up.
Yep.
Okay.
Definitely.
You said about 30 calls an hour is pretty good. So that's about 60 for a 2-hour slot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty decent. Your first time.
Dials, right?
The dials. Yeah, that's dials. Yeah. Yeah. There are ways to speed that up. It's going to be really important that if you're consistently making that many dials, you're not doing it from a single phone number. You do not want your phone numbers getting flagged as spam. And the general carrier rule is if you're dialing out more than 50 calls a day, they'll flag you as spam even if nobody else blocks you or flags you as spam. They'll just say, hey, you're making too many calls. This must be a spammer. So you probably don't want to do this from your cell phone.
To one number?
No, from one number. If you are making more than 50 calls a day from a number, the likelihood that your number is going to get that spam flag where, I've gotten 5 or 6 calls today that say likely spam on my screen. And one of them was from the real estate commission in my state. Apparently, I'm need to pay some dues in the next 2 days, and theirs was likely spam. And that was a real estate commission. They are not spamming at all. They're a government entity, but they make more than 50 calls a day from that number, and the carriers think that they're spam. So
that's where that possible spam.
Yep. Don't burn your cell phone number. You might want to go get a line 2 number or a justcall.io number or something like that. There's a bunch of numbers.
Maybe a landline?
Well, it's going to get flagged as spam, so maybe a landline would be fine. I would get a couple of phone numbers, though. Line 2 is a great place. Line2.com is a great place to get some phone numbers. Justcall.io is a good place to get some phone numbers. Just Call and AirCall are actually extensions that turn all those phone numbers on the ATL website into clickable phone numbers, so it speeds you up a little bit. You don't have to manually dial a number. You can just click on it, and it'll pop up on an app.
Yeah, Bruce, I think also probably, I hate doing this because it's just more regulation, but the reality is that whole market is changing right now, and there is a whole program from the carrier side that literally starting August 1st, if your numbers are not appropriately registered, there's a thing called 10DLC. We're going through this internally right now. If your phone numbers aren't registered appropriately on 10DLC, and there's a thing called the sort of Shake and Stir Act, that there are two different things you got to deal with. One is you got to register yourself, and your number has got to be registered with the carriers. So you need to do some research. You're going to be able to get by only for the next little bit, and after that, the carriers won't even complete your calls. So that whole arena is changing really dramatically in the next 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
And you're called, but they're never going to get answered.
Those sites that I just mentioned, they have a process for registering your number as well. So you're not going to get a number without the opportunity to get in and register it.
Right. But just be sure you're doing that. And you'd said a landline. Landline means you'll end up being responsible for it yourself, and probably not want to not deal with all that. The 10DLC is mostly around texting, and then the other side is also just around getting it carrier registered. So the carrier certifying that you're the person that owns it, you're not scamming, and you've gone through some hoops to get that done.
Yep.
And Tim, that will keep you from, or it's likely to keep you from getting classified as spam if you take that proactive procedure.
And well, that's the whole point of doing it that way, is that you won't get, in theory, you won't be done that way, because the carriers are going, it's inter-traffic. So if, let's say you're a Verizon customer, and Verizon has certified that you're Jim and you have a Verizon phone number, and you have, basically sworn on a stack of Bibles that, you're not scamming people and you can attest to it, and, you've gone through the hoops, then they will process the call. When they hand it off to AT&T, AT&T will accept that, and Sprint will accept it, and all that sort of stuff. That's kind of, I'm putting a big paintbrush on it, but that's what the market's changing, and you got to be aware of that.
Well, that's really interesting, because we jump through so many hoops as business owners these days. We got to register with the IRS, with the state corporation commission. I've got a local business license. If you're a realtor, you have a department of professional licensing.
If it's easy, everybody be doing it. If it's easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah, right.
That's interesting. But I get it, because it is annoying to get all these robocalls. And this isn't robocalling. This is, a specific business that we're in. We're bringing value to the marketplace to help people. We're not, someone out there trying to scam, Social Security recipients out of their benefits.
Law does not discriminate, and the law says that if you're doing it commercially, in theory, you have to have that person's permission to use that instrument to work on them, either via phone or text. And that's been that way for a while. So I just, I will drop it for now, but I'd say make yourself familiar, do some Google searches and see what's cooking in your. Also, some states have regulations that are even over the top of the federal law. So be aware of what's going on in your marketplace, and we'll take it from there.
Do the same rules apply to email?
Email's different. That's the Can Spam Act, and you got to look into that as well.
Okay.
But your email is less. It's what email is looking for is that they're looking for the people that are trying to send out 1,000 emails a minute.
1,000 people that they just kind of downloaded a bunch of email addresses. By the way, email. I do a lot of email, but it's only to people who I've collected their email on the phone. So if they say no, that's my easiest path to an email. Hey, I completely get it, Jim. You're not ready for that right now. Why don't I just shoot you some information on what I do, and then you can call me when you're ready. And they're always, oh yeah, that's fine. Okay, what's a good email for you? Now I got the email and I can drip on them.
Yeah,
now you've got their permission too.
On my landing page, if a person enters their information and their property address, we ask for phone number and email. If they give it to me, that's implied permission to contact them.
For a certain amount of time.
Right.
I think it's like 90 days or something like that. But yeah. All right.
Okay.
Good.
Great. Thanks.
Perfect. Thanks, Jim. Thank you, Tim. I'm going to go to Karen. Karen asked a couple of questions through Facebook chat under the live video that we have running there. Do most realtors that use ATL follow our guidance and working under their current brokerage, or do they establish a separate niche-related business like Probate Solutions LLC? I would say that the majority establish some kind of a separate business. You're not going to run your real estate transactions through that if you're a licensed agent, but it does give you a little bit of credibility. So there are a lot of people that call and market and they say, "Hey, I'm George from Remax, and I have a probate services business," and the person might, it doesn't happen all the time, but they might say, "No, I'm not going to sell the house right now," or "Is this about the house?" And you've kind of forced them into thinking about real estate only when you have other services to provide. So that would be the pro of setting up a separate business entity that you can talk about. It's more of a solutions or services based business. Now, if you're a realtor, you really need to run all that business through your brokerage, of course. But I'd say that most set up a separate business entity, but not everybody. And we have people that call and say, "I'm with XYZ Realty all the time," and it does not dramatically impact the business that they convert. But I find offering a solution or service outside of, in addition to just real estate, is helpful. Karen also asked, as a new realtor and getting into this niche, is there work involved that you can have someone else do? Yes. There's a great book that changed my business. It's called Who Not How. Who Not How. Amazing book. Talks about figuring out what your superpowers are and outsourcing everything else. So I use a concierge in my business. It's someone that has a concierge service, and I'll take her on some of my appointments. Not all my appointments, but some of my appointments. And a lot of times I tell people, "Look, I'm here. I'm going to help give you a plan. Anything that you want my partner here to do, she can take off of your plate for you. If you do let me list the house or sell me the house, I'll cover 10 hours of her time." So that's just kind of how I use it. I'm always trying to put off some of those things: the coordination of repairs, the lawn care, the locksmith changes, really any of those extra services. I'm trying to get someone else to coordinate those. It doesn't mean that I'm always paying for it. It means that they're coordinating it. It's one of the services that I provide, and I provide that because of my concierge partner. So I'm a big believer in having a concierge partner, or at least someone who can do the work. Chris, how can you partner with other agents in different markets? Have we seen anything like that? Absolutely, we've seen that a lot. So what you're going to want to do is go to Facebook, the book face, and go to All the Leads Mastermind. So All the Leads Mastermind. There's about 15,000 agents in that group all over the country. Mention that you're looking for people that can that referral partners in different markets. You can put together a group like that. Another thing that you guys should all be doing is, as you get referral opportunities, especially in probate around the country, if you don't have someone in that market, either go to that Facebook group or chat or call into support and ask who you can refer to in one of those other markets. We love helping put referral partners together. So if you get a piece of business in Florida and you're in Massachusetts and you don't have anyone in that market in Florida, check with us at All the Leads. We probably have someone that you can refer to. So hopefully that helps. And the last question is, how do we check if the prospect is not or is on the do not call list? Could you get in any trouble if they are on the do not call list? So we do provide 3 to 5 phone numbers with each lead, and those phone numbers will be tagged with an asterisk if they are found on the do not call registry. That is your decision on whether you're going to call them or not. I will tell you, so your question is, could we get into trouble if they are on the do not call list? Could you? Yes, you could. Some people choose to call anyway. Some people scrub those numbers out. That's your business decision. But you do need to know that there is the potential that someone could get mad and turn you in, or in some cases sue you in private small claims court. So be aware of the risk. Tim, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think you said it right. I mean, the reality is that, we're torn here because we know that you need to reach out to people to do your business. We also know that the personal representatives are there to represent the estate. And if you have issues that are pertinent to the estate, they need to take a call and talk to you about it. Where it's a gray area is, in fact, you're marketing your service. You don't have a relationship with that estate yet, and you're marketing your service to it. So there's that. The only other thing I would add is that a lot of the purpose of the laws and the TCPA law, which is the acronym for the law that pertains to this, what they're really doing is, it's, as we said before, they're trying to get the big offenders, the people that are literally doing massive blasts, that are basically spamming everybody with phone calls. And if anybody, it's the ones that when your phone rings and you happen to pick it up and the first thing you hear is something goes, well, that's not somebody that knows you. Typically that's a phone room. And, or somebody says, hi, I'm looking for so-and-so in a very professional voice. Those are the guys that don't have permission to call you, and they are the people that the TCPA is out to look for. You're an individual person making an individual phone call. You have to think how many people it would take to sort of police that sort of thing. Having said that, Bruce gave you the right answer. Could you get in trouble? Absolutely could. And in fact, the law says up to $2,500 per incident. So, you just need to be aware of what the risks are. But I will also tell you that in the time that we've been doing this, I do not recall anyone ever calling us and saying, the boys came down and beat on my front door and hauled me away yesterday because I made a phone call to somebody on the list. So I you judgment, and that's as far as we'll go.
Okay, that's as far as we'll go.
I was going to add to it, but I won't go any further.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Jim?
Are we ready to close?
It's magic time, buddy.
I don't know if I can do as well as Bruce, but I just got to tell you guys, I missed you. It's great being back. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. I want to particularly thank those that gave us some really, Roger and Douglas, and gave us some inspiring stories. I want to thank everybody who actively participated. And I want to challenge each of you, just take one thing that inspired you on this call, go out and put it into practice, and please come back next Thursday and share your results with the group. Have a great week. Talk to you same time next week, everybody. Take care.